But yes, we will go ahead and get started. My name is Miko, and I am one of the co-directors of the Compassion in Action Network, along with my fellow co-director, Adomius.
Hi, everybody. I'm Adomius.
Perfect. Who's waving there? Awesome. So we are very excited to talk with you all today about the Compassion in Action Fellowship. We'll go ahead and over to you, Adomius.
Well, welcome, everybody. Thank you for showing up. I'm sure everybody has busy days and lots of things going on, so we're really grateful for everyone that has made it here. And so the big question of what are we doing here today? So what's the purpose of this open house? And we just wanted to introduce you, one, to Namchak, the organization and the foundation that houses this fellowship program. We also wanted to introduce you to the Compassion in Action Network, which is within the Namchak organization. And then under that is the particular fellowship program that we'll be speaking about today. So we'll be talking about all of those things. Also, we wanted you to meet other people that might have similar interests, joining this fellowship or just inquiring on what it is. And Miko and myself are here to answer any clarifying questions you may have. So yeah, that's really the purpose of this, just for us to be together to share some information with you and to be available for your questions. So before we dive in, we actually wanted to kind of do a quick group sharing regarding meditation. We just wanted to get a sense of what meditation means to all of you. I'm sure you all come from different backgrounds, different ideas. And so the question of what does meditation mean to you? Have you had some experience meditating? And how would you describe your experiences and relationship with it? So this is the question that we're framing.
So just to tell you all a little bit more about Namchak, Namchak is an education organization that's dedicated to sharing one of the oldest forms of Tibetan Buddhist practice and making those techniques newly accessible to Westerners. So the students who come to us have there's kind of a range of people's experience with meditation. So we have some who've never tried meditation before, some who are beginners, some who are kind of intermediate, and those who are more advanced practitioners. And so we really welcome and support people wherever they may be on their meditation journey and with their meditation practice. And so Namchak students have the opportunity to learn from Tibetan masters as well as Western teachers and to receive support from a vibrant community. And so while most contemporary mindfulness techniques originate from Buddhism, today people from all sorts of religious backgrounds practice meditation. And so why is that? I think some of the reasons that you all were mentioning, kind of just noticing that with meditation practice, there can be a range of benefits, including decreased stress, enhanced creativity, better focus, improved relationships with ourselves and with others. And so regardless of if you actually consider yourself to be a Buddhist or not, or if you have any religious affiliation at all, there are many ways that meditation can help to benefit you. So to speak a little bit more to the specifics of Tibetan Buddhism and the Namchak lineages, as we were mentioning before, the practices that we learn are from a part of the Namchak tradition of Tibetan Buddhism. So in Tibetan Buddhism, there are hundreds of branches or lineages that are associated with different regions and monasteries. So these lineages can be traced back to the Buddha, who began it all in India more than 2.5 millennia ago. So the Compassion in Action Fellowship specifically is a program that's designed to foster and support a community of young people in learning these specific practices that are associated with the Namchak lineage of Tibetan Buddhism. So we actually have a video too that will be introducing you to a little bit more to Namchak. So that was kind of just a verbal sharing that we did, but we also have a video that we'll share with you as well. But just to give you a sense of some of the core teachers of the program. So as we were mentioning, there are Western teachers who are part of the program, as well as some of the Tibetan and Buddhist teachers. And so some of the core teachers are Tulku Sangak Rinpoche, Ken Rinpoche, Lama Somo, and Aaron Stern, who are the primary teachers of the program. So I have a video that I'm going to share with you all here, and hopefully there aren't any technical difficulties. We tested this out, but you know how Zoom goes and technology. So we'll share it here and press. Let me see and make sure that
works. There are lots of different ways to get at this business of shifting our habits, our pathways in the brain, how we use different parts of the brain together to live more skillfully. In the Tibetan tradition, there are particularly a huge array of different practices you can use. You actually progress from some basic ones to some more advanced ones and so on and so forth. You can either be sitting at the Namchak Foundation. We teach the whole path, beginning to end, available for anybody who wants to go that far with it. And we have several lamas to help with that process. We're also going to have retreats on either coast, and we are building a retreat facility in the wide open spaces in the mountains in Montana. Eventually you can come there and really do total immersion in a beautiful place that's conducive to immersing in these practices and really having wonderful experiences with them. The Lama who started all of it is Tulku Sangak Rinpoche. He is a Tibetan Lama. He's the head of our Namchak lineage, and he's very highly skilled as a meditator as well as a scholar. And he knows the writings of the Namchak lineage inside, outside, backwards, forwards. It's home to him. Then his brother, the Namchak Khenpo, is a scholar, and he is also an accomplished meditator. He can teach fairly beginning students and all the way through, really. In my training with Tulku Sangak Rinpoche, I was lucky enough to begin with just road testing these intriguing, really simple, basic practices. And since I'd been given all of these teachings from Rinpoche and he had watched closely over my progress and really see how the practices work, I thought, I want to share this with other people. Think of your intention. Once I was ordained, then I began teaching the more foundational practices. I can teach them in a more modern, easygoing way, and you don't have to have a translator. We've got various lamas for various parts of the path. And so whoever's interested, I'm delighted to share with people, and I still love to see the light bulb go on in people's heads.
Awesome. So yes, we were very excited to show that video to you all, so that way you had the opportunity to see some video of the Namchak Retreat Ranch in Montana, because that's where the Namchak is actually located, and so that you could also hear from and see some of our core teachers. And so Lama Somo is the founder of Namchak, along with the Tibetan Buddhist teachers, and so is one of the primary teachers that we work with, and who is one of the primary Western teachers who works with the fellows who are part of the program. But also you have the opportunity to interact with the other teachers of the program as well. So we just wanted to give you a little bit of a glimpse of the organization in that way, but we also wanted to kind of do a little bit of a longer meditation here, and which we'll share in a moment, and wanted to share this with you all. And this is a meditation that's guided by Lama Somo, just to give you a little bit more of a taste of some of the meditation practices that we practice as part of the fellowship, when we kind of gather as a cohort with the fellows, and also that fellows have the opportunity to share with their chapter members, the fellow students who they are on campus with in their chapter communities. So this is a short 3-minute meditation. I think we know that this is the open house, but we were also just excited to practice with you all. So we'll share that here, just so you have an opportunity to get a taste of what the type of practices we do within Namchak and the Compassion in Action Fellowship are.
Let's do a little freeze frame. Now, as we're doing this freeze frame, I have to say, we're all doing something we do all the time. We do it when we're waking, when we're sleeping, all the time. As you may have guessed, we're breathing. So pay attention to this breathing, the direct experience of the air coming in and out, of your body moving in that way. And your brain, being a thinking machine, is going to generate thoughts. That's okay. Then we tend to follow after the thoughts and make a whole movie out of it. At a certain point, we're going to wake up to that and notice, oh, I just was following after thoughts. Oh, yeah, I was meditating. And we come back to just paying attention to our breath. Simply that. Directly feeling the coolness in our nostrils or across our tongue. Belly moving. And so we were just meditating. It's that simple. This meditation practice is called shamatha.
Okay. So yes, a practice there. Shamatha is one of the core practices that we learn and kind of deepen in over the course of the fellowship journey. And it's also one of the core teachings at Namchak for students in our learning circles as well. So I don't know about you all, but I kind of noticed a shift in my body after doing that practice. And so if you all would like to kind of maybe drop in the chat what you noticed or what kind of came up for you in your body, if you did notice something, just so other folks can have a sense of what that meditation experience was like. But we really just wanted to give you a little bit more of an idea of some of the things that we practice within the fellowship. Mm-hmm. So noticing that sense of feeling more peaceful, right? Yeah, that kind of like slowing down. It's a meditation for peace. So good to know that that was accomplished for you. And I think it's just amazing how it's only 3 minutes, right? And we can experience that kind of shift and how powerful that can be. And anyone else, you can feel free to drop in the chat, even as we kind of continue on, because I think we'll continue on here to make sure that we can share about all of the core pieces of the fellowship that it's helpful for you all to know about. But feel free to continue dropping that in the chat. So I'll go ahead and pass it on over to you, Adomius, to speak more to the Compassion Action Network and the fellowship.
Cool. All right. If you want to Miko, move the slide, the next one. Oh yeah. So maybe some of you are familiar with this, but I'll just kind of reiterate it. So within Buddhism, all of the different sects and lineages of Buddhism, there are these three core components that are called the three jewels. And so they're the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. So Buddha refers to the enlightened mind of the Buddha that is brought forth through lots of meditation and practice. And this is not just the historical Buddha, that Buddha exists within all of us. And so that committed meditation and practice brings forth this enlightened mind in all of us, the Buddha mind. And then Dharma refers to the teachings of the historical Buddha, the roadmap that he spoke about and then was written down and also transferred orally. And then the last one is Sangha, which refers to a community of like-minded people, community of meditators. Community is really important in the meditative practice because it can be daunting sometimes. And it's wonderful to have others that have the same interests kind of go through the journey with us. So these three jewels are really central to Buddhism, to all sorts of, all the different kinds of Buddhism. And so within Namchak, as an organization, we do lots of different things, but one of the components is this compassion and action network that we're continually building. And it's a network and a movement and a community of young people trying to create a more compassionate, fair, just, and connected world. And so this is, we have this compassion action network that Miko and I are co-directors of, where we're continually trying to create programs and opportunities for young people to meet and to become community and to kind of live in a world in a compassionate and connected way. So that's a big part of what we do. And then, so compassion. So this is a word that comes up a lot in a lot of, particularly what they call the Mahayana Buddhist traditions. And so there's many definitions of compassion, and as listed here, we've listed a couple of things that people have said about what compassion means to them. Compassion is common ground with the ethical teachings of all major traditions, religious and humanistic come together. Compassion is what connects the feeling of empathy, the acts of kindness, generosity, and other expressions of our altruistic tendencies. Put compassion at the center of your life and see how it changes the world. So these are all things that were said by Tibetan Jinpa, but we want to hear from you about what compassion means to you, what that word mean, and what does compassion in action mean to you? Maybe you've never thought about it, but we just wanted to kind of put it out there to see what people's ideas and experiences and feelings around the notion of compassion and compassion action are. So this brings us to the Compassion and Action Fellowship Program, which is this program that we've created. We're running our second year, and next year would be our third year. And it's as noted here, a year-long inner and outer change program for student leaders. This is specifically for students aged 18 to 25 that we give an opportunity for a year, people to be part of this fellowship and create and run learning chapters within university settings. And so I'll describe more the particular benefits of the fellowship program, which include, you become a part of an inspiring community of students. Usually we hope to have 2 fellows apply together from each university, so that there is a sense of community that launches the year. It's always nice to work with someone, but then as you kind of start to build your community on your campus, you start to engage a lot of other students that will inspire you, and which brings about lots of personal growth and also together fostering some change in the world. You also learn a lot of methodologies that are time-tested and science-backed meditation practices, that help decrease stress and improve physical, mental, emotional, spiritual well-being. So there's benefits to the body and to the mind, and hopefully there's benefits to the community that we are part of. And so that's part of the benefits of the fellowship program. And you also develop skills and practices for creative positive change on your campus and beyond. You learn leadership skills. You also have opportunities to be mentored by inspiring leaders on the forefronts of mindfulness and social change movement. So we have the Namchak Teachers. Sometimes we bring in other folks that are doing different interesting things in the world of mindfulness. And you also get a stipend for this year-long program. You get there's a stipend that's split between you get half of it at the beginning of the fellowship, and then half of it when you finish it. And so, and on top of that, you travel to any of the retreats, and food and lodging, all of that will be covered. And so we'll go into more detail later on. And so within this fellowship program, and not just within the fellowship, but within Namchak as a whole, we try to explore and cultivate the aforementioned three jewels that we talked about earlier through these three spheres or dimensions of practice, which are personal, community, and world. And so there's a conviction here at Namchak that in order to live fulfilling and meaningful lives, it's not enough to just focus on our own personal well-being. We also want to feel our connection to others, those that are near and far, and we want to, where we're living in harmony with the greater whole. So this involves focusing on these three connected spheres: the personal, the community, and the world. So personal refers to, the time that we spend individually while meditating, and as they say, on the cushion or in the chair. Community refers to our Sangha, one of the jewels, and the connections that we share with those closest to us as we meditate and learn together. So this includes families, co-workers, neighbors, and in the case of the fellowship, your learning circle in the chapter that you will be nurturing. And then the world refers to our awareness of things that are happening in the world. There's lots of things, as we know even now, lots of things happening in the world that need our attention. And so we want to nurture a sort of active engagement with the world to make it as better of a place as we can. And the world, not just the human world, but everything that is alive, nature, animals, just everything outside of our own small sphere. So this is the framework that we use to kind of nurture and create a thriving chapter within these university settings.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Adomius, for that. And I can kind of just elaborate on that a little bit more, just to kind of go in more depth with the Compassion Action chapters, since the Compassion Action chapters are a core part of the program. So as Adomius was mentioning, fellows as part of the program start these compassion and action chapters on their campus. And the intention is really for there to be co-fellows. So that way we can, you all have the opportunity to kind of co-hold that space together. And actually, we kind of create the program and support the fellows with fostering a shared leadership model within their chapters, where they have the opportunity to co-create their vision and activities for their chapter with their co-fellow, and also with the leadership team that they develop within their chapter. And so you can see here in this image, kind of the various components of these chapters. So there's that opportunity for shared leadership. There's the opportunity to practice meditation and learn different meditation practices. There's the opportunity to build community specifically within the specific chapter at your campus, and also to build community kind of more broadly across the campus and locally, wherever you all may be located. And then there's also that component of action, that social action and that service as well. And so all of that really being interwoven together and really kind of reflected within the various dimensions that we talked about the personal, the community, and the world component. And so as part of these compassion action chapters, fellows usually meet with their leadership team once a week because the chapters hold learning circle meetings every week. And so this is just an opportunity to continue to develop and practice and continue to meet with each other and build that community. So these learning circles are the primary activities that the chapters engage in. And these are weekly 90-minute meetings where, as we were kind of speaking to, fellows have the opportunities to connect with the community that they've kind of cultivated within their chapter, to practice meditation and to engage in shared learning around a variety of different topics, with, again, that core piece being shared leadership within that as well. So it's not just one person holding that community space, and it's not just the fellows who are holding that community space. It's really about encouraging a sense of leadership amongst all of those who are part of that chapter as well. And so in addition to these learning circle meetings, there are also opportunities for social activities, right? So for people to just be able to come together for a game night or to study together, all of that, recognizing that you all are students, right? So how can you support one another with what you're studying? How can you also just have the opportunity to have fun and to decompress, all of that? And I think one of the things that, I don't know that we've spoken too much, but there's the awareness, of course, that the past few years have really been shaped by the pandemic, right? So during the first year of the fellowship, it was largely a virtual program. And this year, there's been more of an opportunity for it to be hybrid. So we had some fellows in their chapters where they did their meetings exclusively virtually, where they would meet over Zoom. We had some fellows who, in their chapters, who were doing the in-person meetings and having the opportunity to come together. And then we also had fellows who were doing a bit of a hybrid kind of setup. But for all of our fellows, one of the core things that they mentioned was that having the opportunity to come together in these communities, in their chapters, whether it was virtually, whether it was hybrid, or whether it was in person, it felt really meaningful for them to have that opportunity to connect with each other, with all of the isolation that a lot of people have experienced within the pandemic, on top of all of the social and environmental issues that people are kind of like just dealing with and processing. So to be able to have a community to experience all of that together, to navigate all of that together, is one of the things that fellows have really spoken to as one of the major benefits of the program. And so in addition to the learning circle meetings and the social activities, there's also the social action component, right? We talk about being committed to inner and outer change within the program. And so chapters also share in opportunities to engage in social actions, whether that is through specific service projects or organized campaigns or partnering with other campus groups, or even just learning together about various social issues and talking about and trying to understand it together. Because I don't know about you all, there are a lot of different things going on in the world. And sometimes, I see about it in the news, or I hear about it, or I read about it, but I don't really know all of the specifics about it, or don't really know who to talk to about it. And so often these learning circles and these chapters can be a really safe and supportive space to kind of explore that together, and to maybe ask the questions that you've been too afraid to ask, or you didn't know where to go to ask, or even just to kind of try to find the answers together if it feels like, okay, none of us really know the truth of what this is. And so can we make a core part of our social action together be about learning about these issues more, so we can figure out how best to support and how best to show up for that. So that's just a little bit more of an insight into some of the various elements of the chapters there. And just to kind of give you a visual picture here of the fellowship journey timeline. The fellowship is structured around a few program elements. So we were kind of speaking to how previously with COVID and some of the restrictions there, the program is done virtually, but this year our intention is really to be able to do a lot more of the components in person as much as possible, as much as COVID kind of allows here. So we know that a lot of places seem to be kind of shifting with COVID guidelines, but we really just want to be responsive to what the needs are. But right now we are tentatively planning for an in-person opening retreat. So usually at the start of the fellowship, which this fellowship runs from From June of this year through June of next year, so a year-long program, we start with a virtual fellowship launch session where everyone just has the opportunity to connect and get to know each other over Zoom. And then we have an in-person retreat planned in Montana where people actually have the opportunity to gather together and to be in in-person relational space. I think that's one of the things that a lot of people have recognized, that it feels very different to actually be able to gather in person and to create those connections. And so that's something that we have planned for June right now. So the last week of June, June 20th through June 26th. So people will have the opportunity to come together, to get to know each other, to hear more about the fellowship journey and plan for the year ahead. And we provide support and guidance around the curriculum for the learning circles, because there is a set curriculum to kind of guide you all through that. And we do provide a lot of tools and resources to help you in kind of carrying out your chapters. So people come from a variety of levels of experience with kind of taking on leadership in that way. So we do provide a lot of like hands-on guidance and support, so that way fellows feel like they are well equipped to kind of carry forward with their learning circles. And so that's a core part of the launch retreat that we do and kind of explore together. And then of course, having the opportunity to visit the Namchak retreat ranch and to get to know and be introduced to some of the core teachers who we mentioned before. So in addition to that launch retreat, there's also that kind of time period of starting up and launching your chapter. So we help you all with that, kind of doing your own open houses and doing any like organization fairs, promoting your learning circles and your chapters as well. And then throughout over the course of the semester, hosting these weekly learning circles with a range of topics that we again offer guidance for. And it's important that fellows also be available to take part in Namchak weekend retreats. So we have a fall weekend retreat that is a part of the fellowship. But in addition to the retreats that are a part of the fellowship specifically, there are also additional retreats that Namchak offers as a whole that fellows are welcome to participate in. And then on top of these other opportunities that we've kind of listed here as part of the fellowship journey, there are also monthly fellowship cohort calls where all of the fellows have the opportunity to connect and hear about what's going on in each other's various chapters. And it's where Adomius and I, as co-directors of the program, also have the opportunity to talk and check in with you all and to share more information and resources to support you all in your journey as well. And then as we were speaking to the chapter leadership meetings are other core parts of the fellowship journey, as well as support calls with us. We usually meet kind of one-on-one with each fellow or each co-fellow to check in and to offer whatever support might be needed as well. And to kind of go to the second half of the year. So for the second half of the year, fellows usually relaunch their chapter. They kind of continue with the learning circles. There is a spring Namchak weekend retreat as well. And then we have a closing retreat to kind of wrap up the year. And so we were mentioning that there is a personal, community, world dimensions that are a part of the fellowship. And those dimensions are a part of the fellowship throughout the course, over the course of the program. But we will also say that in the fall and the first semester of the program, the first term of the program, there's a real emphasis on like the personal and the community piece as people are kind of like deepening in their practice and deepening and growing their learning circle compassion action chapters. And then the second semester is where chapters and fellows really have the opportunity to deepen in the social action and service piece. So we encourage and support all those elements over the course of the program, but really within the second part of the year, people have the opportunity to deepen in their social action and service in really meaningful and inspiring ways as well. And then the fellowship cohort calls, the leadership meetings, and the support calls continue throughout the second half of the year as well. And so that's kind of just like an overview of the program, and we'll create space here for you all to ask questions because we know that we were sharing a lot here. There's a lot that we wanted to cover just to kind of give you more of a sense of the program, but did want to drop into the chat just some reminders of the links here that we have for the website. I don't know, Domius, if you might be able to drop that in since I'm sharing screen here. But also, as we were mentioning, with these retreats that we have, all of the expenses are covered, and fellows also receive a $2,000 stipend that's divided at the beginning of the year and at the end of the year as part of the program as well. And so Domius will kind of drop in the chat here the website where you can go to find out more information about the fellowship, also dropping in the application form. So that way, if you are interested, we would love to get an application from you. And so when you submit your application, then we'll reach out and we'll follow up with an interview. Nothing to be stressed or worried about. It's just an opportunity for us to be in conversation with you all. Hopefully we don't seem too intimidating here. We would just love to get to know you. And then we are also accepting nominations. So if you apply for the program, or if you know of other people who you think might be a good fit for the program, you're welcome to nominate someone as well. And then that will give us the opportunity to follow up with them and kind of talk with them more about the fellowship and invite them to apply as well and support them in applying. And if you have any questions that you would like to reach out to us about, or just anything that you would like to communicate with us, also including our contact email in the chat, fellowship@namchak.org, that both Adomius and I receive, that you can feel free to reach out to as well. And so with that, Adomius, is there anything more that you wanted to speak to as far as the fellowship journey, or did I cover it all, or is there anything that I forgot that might?
No, I think you did. Just a quick thing, like I'm sure everybody's heard of this term engaged Buddhism, which was, I think, coined by Thich Nhat Hanh. And so the second part of the semester, as Miko mentioned, and a lot of the emphasis is on how do we engage with, and that spirit of engaged Buddhism. How do we engage with the world? How do we take our all our insights and meditations and the community spirit that we've nurtured together in the first semester? What do we do with that? How do we kind of engage with the world? So yeah, just reiterating what Miko mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the really exciting things about the program, at least from my perspective, because I think there can sometimes be like a stereotype or perspective when it comes to mindfulness and people's meditation practice, that it's just like, oh, our own self practice, and we just kind of like focus on our own growth and development. But with engaged Buddhism and with this kind of outer change piece and this compassionate action piece, it's really about encouraging us to think, how does our practice support us in acting compassionately out in the world, right? And actually taking our practice off of the cushion into the world as well. So yes, thank you, Adomius, for adding that on.
I'm also putting in the chat some highlights from our current fellows. That we do monthly spotlights on our fellows, where they answer a bunch of questions, and that's kind of posted on the Namchak website. So just to get a better sense of what the actual experience of our fellows are, you can read through that. So I'm going to put that in the chat.
Yes, and I'll share screen here too, just so you can see. For example, here's one of our current fellows, Israel. And so you can see, you can check this out and see a little bit more about who Israel is, one of our current fellows, and Israel's experience of the fellowship thus far. And I think we also have, which Adomius will put in the chat, there's a link to a great article from 2021 with the fellows who took part in the fellowship at that time. And so you can hear even more from them about their experience with the fellowship. And then on top of that, if you go to the Namchak blog, as Adomius mentioned, you can see more information from other fellows beyond just Israel as well. Perfect. Yes, so Adomius just dropped those in the chat for you all. And just as a reminder, I think this is one of the questions that often comes up, where people ask, do I have to be Buddhist in order to, or do I have to be religious in any way in order to practice meditation or be a part of the fellowship? So no, I think as we were speaking to earlier, this is really just to support anyone who would like to learn meditation in learning meditation. And so you can participate in the fellowship without actually considering yourself to be a Buddhist or to be interested in kind of religion in that way. So I know that's one of the common questions that come up. I'm trying to think if there are any other common questions that people have that come to mind that we might be able to speak to or answer.
Yeah, well, that's the big one. And it's not, it's not a route to being a Buddhist either, if that's what happens. Then, but these methodologies, even though they come through the purview of a specific Buddhist lineage, they're really mostly scientifically proven, just methods of meditating and kind of paying attention to what's happening on the inside, on the outside. So they might have a particular slant, but they're not religious by any means. So.
Right, right. Right. And one of the things too that we often talk about with fellows is kind of exploring, what is their relationship to social action and activism, right? Because we recognize that people kind of come to that from different levels of experience and different understandings. And sometimes people can feel overwhelmed by the idea of that. Like, wait, are you saying that I have to put on a big campaign or do something really huge and major? And so some people do feel called to do something like that, or to do some fundraising for a cause that they care about or an issue that's impacting them or their local community. And so that's definitely something that we encourage and support. And then also recognize that social action and service can look a variety of different ways. Like as we were speaking to, it could be learning about a specific issue and organizing a night to watch a documentary and talk about that issue and explore ways that we might be able to learn more or kind of deepen in our understanding of those issues, or contribute in a variety of different ways. That might look like partnering with other campus organizations and what they have going on, or even just identifying different organizations in the local community that you might be able to support, and then going and doing that as a chapter together, right? So that can look like a variety of different things. And so there's no need, we understand being intimidated by it, but there's no need to be intimidated by it. And we really support our fellows in kind of being successful and making the most of their fellowship experience. So fellows are not alone in what they're doing as part of the fellowship. So.
And tell your friends if this was interesting to you, and you have other friends that might be interested. Just kind of send them to the website or to us. Yeah.
Right. And even I think one of the things, just one last thing, we mentioned that we usually accept co-fellows, but if you are a single fellow and you don't know of anyone who might also be interested, then we can work with people who might be single fellows and kind of support you in being able to potentially find a second one, or to run your chapters as a single fellow. So definitely still want to encourage you to apply. So we specifically are not in Montana. Adomius and I work remotely out of California, but the Namchak Retreat Center is in Montana. So fellows have the opportunity to travel there, as do we as the co-directors of the program as well. That's a great question. Wonderful.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. You have a wonderful rest of your evening.
Yes. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. You too.